Welcome back to Rogers Arena. Canucks versus the Senators, November 11th. It is Remembrance Day, one of the most important dates on the calendar every single year. If you haven't thanked a member of the military yet today, do it now. Yes, the Canucks do have something special planned for this evening, something to honor the troops. And for more on that, we will go to John Ashbridge.
Today is the day we remember those who have served, helping preserve the freedoms all Canadians enjoy at this time. Tonight, the Vancouver Canucks salute 3 deserving members of our armed forces. From the Seaforth Highlanders of Canada, Corporal Kevin Peterson, 2nd Section in Command. He has served for 6 years, most notably during the humanitarian relief following the Manitoba floods of 2011. From the 15th Field Regiment, Royal Canadian Artillery, Master Bombardier Leon Underwood, Detachment Commander. He has served for 12 years, including a deployment to Afghanistan. And from Lord Strathcona's Horse, posted to the British Columbia Regiment, Duke of Connaught's Own, Warrant Officer Marvin McNeil, Operations Warrant Officer. He has served 25 years, which have included 3 tours of duty in Bosnia, Kosovo, and 2 in Afghanistan. Now would Henrik Sedin and Erik Karlsson please join these brave men at center ice for tonight's ceremonial face-off. Thank you, Henrik. And thank you to all the brave men and women who serve our country every day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Welcome our color party, Corporal Cameron Togererts and Bombardier William Martinez, under the command of Sergeant Brian Kopp. Ladies and gentlemen, please remove your hats and join us as we observe a moment of silence to honor Canada's fallen. In particular, to honor the memory of Private Stephen Allen, who was laid to rest in Victoria this weekend. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remain standing and please join the band from the 15th Field Regiment and Bombardier Kerry McCaffrey in the singing of our national anthem, O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. Car ton bras s'est porté le Père, il s'est porté la croix, ton histoire they prove William's exploit. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Not the first time these two teams have played on Remembrance Day. They did it a few years back in our nation's capital. Calling that game as well, John Shorthouse and John Garrett. Guys?
Dan, thanks. A day where the national anthem just always seems to mean that much more. The Canucks and the Senators meeting here at Rogers Arena, the first of 2 times they'll do that this year. Starting goalies brought to you by Tim Hortons, official coffee of the NHL. A good matchup in goal tonight. Two of the best in the first month of the NHL season. Craig Anderson leads the league with a .951 save rate, ranks 4th in goals against at 1.72. And for the Canucks, the league leader in wins, Ryan Miller looks for his 11th tonight against the Senators. Clark MacArthur for Ottawa, tied for the league lead in game-winning goals to this point of the season. He's got 3 game winners for the Sens. And in the absence of Radim Vrbata, Jannik Hansen is back playing with the Sedins for a 2nd game in a row. Canucks without Vrbata, Dorsett, Spiza, Sestito all remain out with injury. Sedins and Hansen start for Vancouver. Edler and Tanev on defense. And for the Ottawa Senators, Kyle Turris up front with MacArthur and Alex Chiasson. Back to the French pronunciation of his name after being anglicized in Dallas, no longer Alex Chiasson. Here's Erik Karlsson, Ottawa captain. He's on defense with Chris Phillips. Senators trying to move the puck out. Tanev held it in, but now it's center. Henrik Sedin picks up the puck, finds Daniel. In front for Hansen. Wrist shot blocked by Phillips. Puck comes back to the blue line. Edler has it. Nicely to Tanev. Cutting in towards the goal. Chris Tanev. Check from behind. Still got a shot off. And a right pad save for Anderson on a good early chance for the Canucks. Sends at the other end. Open in front is Turris. Instead is Karlsson. The trailer. Wrist shot. Knocked down by Miller. And he's able to cover up and get the whistle. As each team has had a good look at goal early in this hockey game.
Chris Tanev jumps up into the play. And you can see Ryan Miller got taken out. As this play comes back the other way. Nice play by Alex Edler to get this to Chris Tanev. He took too long to get the shot away. Gets hooked from behind, doesn't get much on it, and now he's trapped. So the Senators come back the other way, and Tanev gets back into the play. Shot gets by him, and Ryan Miller with a good stop. You're talking to Ryan Miller now as he had the legs taken out from underneath him.
Seems to be all right after a slight delay in a conversation with referee Dean Morton. Zibanejad against Bonino on the faceoff. Puck comes towards Chris Higgins. Ryan Stanton takes his pass, able to fight off the check of Bobby Ryan, and now Higgins across for Burrows. Puck was over his stick, and Mika Zibanejad had control. Then Burrows touched the puck in an offside position, and the whistle blows.
I didn't hear Lonnie Cameron yelling on that one. Usually the linesman yelling offside, offside, and Alex Burrows just jumped up into the play.
Face-off will come to the center ice dot. Zibanejad between McCulloch and Ryan for Ottawa. Jared Cowan, Cody Ceci on defense. Here's Kevin Bieksa. Ahead for Bonino, who deflects the puck through. Bonino, point a game in his last 11. And was over the moon with what transpired in Anaheim the other night, assisting on the only goal scored in the course of play, and of course scoring the only goal of the shootout as the Canucks narrowly edged the Ducks 2-1. Brandon DeFazio in for Vancouver, his 2nd NHL game. On a line with Lyndon Vey and Bo Horvat. The all first-year line. DeFazio trying to cut in front, jams the net, and then Horvat on the rebound couldn't put home the loose puck. Vey knocked down in the corner by Eric Gryba. Here's Horvat coming from behind the goal, and he swung it through the crease, narrowly wide. Good shift here for this trio, young men, and a long shot from Weber is handled by Craig Anderson, who hangs on for the stoppage and play.
Canucks hockey. Brought to you by Subway. Try the savory new prime rib melt. Thick cuts of juicy Canadian beef for a limited time only at participating restaurants. Subway. Eat fresh.
Good play by Brandon DeFazio, just going to the net, using his size. Good power move.
Richardson, Matthias, Jensen come out for Vancouver. Senators have the line they started the game with. Right back out as Jensen dumps the puck in from center. Phillips goes back. Nick Jensen steps into him. Richardson from the corner. Centers for Matthias. He sweeps one wide. Now Tanev moves down from the right point. Behind the net for Richardson. Comes out from the backhand and put it on the forehand. Loose. And jamming away was Jensen. Anderson able to hold his ground and get the whistle.
Good pressure. Canucks swarming Craig Anderson. Good move by Brad Richardson comes out, and again, the power move to the front of the net. Just throw the puck. You might get a good bounce. Craig Anderson does a nice job, paddle down, and Nick Jensen can't force it behind the goaltender.
Henrik Sedin against Mika Zibanejad on a face-off. And Sedin wins it back to Alex Edler. In for Jannik Hansen, couldn't corral the puck. And Carlson brings it up. Stripped of it from behind by Hansen. The Senators recover, and Zibanejad skates forward. Offside was Ryan on the near side. And the whistle blows.
Well, guys, last time these two teams met was March 2nd. It was the Heritage Classic, otherwise known as Roberto Luongo's last straw game. Daniel Sedin was injured in that one, missed the next couple of weeks. Canucks scored first, but ended up losing. Cody Ceci with the winner in that one as the Canucks fell to the Senators at BC Place.
Didn't you call that game from about the 15-yard line?
They have such a great screen there at BC Place that you could really just call it off the scoreboard, which was nice. Daniel Sedin missed 9 games with that injury. Canucks went 4-5 in his absence. Henrik Sedin did well to take that pass off his skate, and now Bieksa headmans for Hansen off his stick and right through to Craig Anderson. He advances the puck to Curtis Lazar, born in Salmon Arm, grew up in Vernon. And the 19-year-old showing well early in his NHL career. Chris Neal carries in on the right wing, trying to power his way in front. Angled off by Stanton. Now the net's been dislodged. There'll be a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
It's always dangerous when Chris Neal crashes the net. Here's the Henrik Sedin. Bad pass. That's going to go right in front of the net, but look at how smoothly he takes that off the inside of his skate and takes it out of danger.
Ryan Stanton thinking thank you for that.
Yes. Nice touch, the poppies on the helmets of the Vancouver Canucks in this one.
Seen them around the league. Senators, same here. Slight delay here, Brad Richardson. It's like a baseball player, quick adjustment there. And he wins a face-off from David Legwand. This will be icing. Greiba's ahead of Mathias. And kind of a methodical start to this hockey game. A lot of whistles in the first 3 minutes and change.
Willie Desjardins, you wonder how his game is going because he usually has that same expression on his face. The team really played well, the Canucks in Anaheim, after playing a real dog game in Los Angeles after the first period. Did not look very good, but bounced back, and you couldn't tell what was happening by Willie's expression.
Called his team out somewhat after the LA game, saying they just weren't good enough. Here's Yannick Weber in, centering the puck. Jensen couldn't make contact, and the Senators trying to take advantage. Mark MacArthur in on the right wing. MacArthur slows, still with the puck, cuts towards the front. Shot attempt blocked by Weber. Can't get the puck out. Now a chance for Richardson, who swings to the sideboards, but Turris knocks down his clearing attempt. Chasson finds some room at the blue line. Long wrist shot, didn't get through. It hit the Ottawa player in front, I think MacArthur, and the Canucks get the puck out. 4 minutes into the first, no score. Carlson in his own zone. Pass blocked by Bonino. Now Cowan will try his luck. Mike Hoffman tips the puck in from center. Lazar after it, played away by Ryan Miller. And Higgins sends Bonino forward. Nick Bonino ahead for Alex Burrows. Delayed offside, but Senators get the puck to neutral ice. Burrows tips it back in, took a friendly bounce towards Higgins. Now Burrows trying to pick up the puck. Winds up on the stick of Hoffman, who advances it to Lazar. He'll chase in on Chris Tanev. Edler to Bonino. And knocked into the air with a high stick by Bobby Ryan, so another whistle. Canucks without the 3 players we talked about. Injured on the road trip. Radim Vrbata in Denver. Here's Derek Dorsett in Los Angeles.
And you can see Dorsett hit into the dasher, and here's Lucas Sbisa gets all tangled up with Pearson and gets collapsed on, and he hobbled off the ice. You and I were talking about those dasher boards, and I know your degree in electrical engineering, or not electrical engineering, but your mechanical engineering. Do you think they could have the glass right tight to the boards? And then you would avoid the guys falling and hitting their chins on the dasher boards, or the hip pointer like Derek Dorsett probably has after hitting into the dasher? No, you're not going there?
No, I'm just saying that having already established that I have absolutely no capacity for this, I don't know if my answer would even be...
Well, I thought about it with the guys who had hit their chins on the boards, and you can see they've rounded them a little bit. They're not at a 90-degree angle like they used to be. You can see they've rounded them so that when you do hit your chin, it's not as much. But I don't know whether they could get the glass right flush to it, and then you would avoid all that. Dragon's Den.
Yeah. Daniel Sedin doing some good work along the boards. Now Henrik. Daniel again. Henrik got knocked down. And Zibanejad moves the puck forward and out to center. Daniel Sedin tip pass to Henrik. And he finds Bieksa. Lost the puck. Senators throw it forward, but Hansen read that well, and he finds Daniel Sedin across to Henrik. Another pass off the skate. Centers for Hansen, and he couldn't make contact in the crease. Daniel Sedin leaves for Henrik Sedin. Hansen hit by Borowiecki, but Henrik Sedin has some room behind the net to Daniel. Looking in front and put the puck to the crease where it's grabbed by Anderson, who covers for the whistle. Murph.
Well, guys, let's remind everyone to play Safeway's $1 Million Score and Win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Mary Nowak of Surrey could win $1 million.
I'm going Bonino.
Yes? I don't know, the Sedin's off to a good start here.
Bo Horvat's line back now. Had a good shift last time on the ice. It was Brandon DeFazio swinging the puck in behind the goal. Phillips to Ceci. And uses in deep and keeps the puck in the Ottawa zone. Horvat taking on Chris Phillips. Now Zach Smith finds Ceci, and he brings the puck to center. Up for Chris Neal, knocked away by Hamhuis, but Neal recovers and dumps the puck in. 6.5 into a scoreless first. Here's a steal. And trying to get the puck in front was David Legwand. Legwand from the corner. And his pass intercepted by Lyndon Vey. Finds Horvat, and he plays the puck over the Ottawa line. Horvat takes a spill. Neal has the puck. And here's Chris Phillips ahead for Turris. Edler knocks that one down. Alex Edler to Sean Mathias, who's playing some of his best hockey in the last couple of weeks. Got his first goal of the season on the road trip. And he has room to move in on the left wing. Mathias, slap shot, gloved by Anderson. 6th shot of the game for the Vancouver Canucks. Ottawa's had about one, and no score to tell you about here on Canucks Hockey on Sportsnet.
This day in Canucks history, 2001, 1,378 days after he was traded to the Islanders, Trevor Linden returned to the Canucks from Washington in exchange for draft picks. He skated with Matt Cook and Trent Klatt that night, played a regular shift as 5 different Canucks scored in a shutout win over Minnesota.
Wasn't any shock that when we heard about the trade from Washington, we were at Tom Reed's?
No. None whatsoever.
Watching games. Stan Smeel, T.C. Carling, along with Trevor Linden.
Know who has the best hair of those 3?
Here's Alex Chasson, checked by Alex Burrows. And Chris Tanev intercepts and starts out. Turris takes the puck away, makes a quick shift to get away from Chris Higgins. Kyle Turris runs into Alex Edler, but picks up the puck again, centers, Phillips shoots, blocked by Nick Bonino, who went down in front of that one. Rare is the Chris Phillips goal. He had 1 last season, he's got 1 in his last 97 games. But a good chance at the Vancouver end of the ice. Here's Lazar. trying to get around Edler. Bieksa back for the puck. Now Hoffman for Ottawa. Mark Stone. Bieksa tips the puck around for Edler, and he'll return the pass. Jannik Hansen sends one across for Daniel Sedin. Lazar trying to stay with him. Henrik Sedin from the corner, battling Borowiecki. Hansen had Daniel Sedin in front. Pass didn't get through, and Hoffman's able to get the puck off Stone and out to center. 8.5 into the first, no score. And here's Mark Stone, who's got 3 goals in his last 6 games, dropping the puck back. Eric Greiba. Pass for Zibanejad didn't work. Matthias had his pass picked off by Bobby Ryan. It's a little scrambly right now. Ryan Miller out of his net. 16, 19, and 4 in his career against Ottawa. Yannick Weber trying to move the puck up. Brad Richardson there in support. McCulloch moves to check him. Andhus takes McCulloch down, but he continues to battle for the puck. Now he's on the ice again, back on his feet. Did I mention it's scrambly?
Yes.
Andhus will try to change that, but his pass got by Matthias. Ceci steps around Matthias, shoots. Miller the same. Saw it all the way, and he gets the whistle.
This period brought to you by the 2015 Toyota Corolla. It's Corolla like you've never seen it before.
There's Nick Bonino, gets in position after Alex Edler was beaten by Kyle Turris at the blue line. Not your classic shot block, but effective anyway.
Carlson tries it out. Oh, that changed direction.
Off the skate.
Miller was able to shut the door on a shot that looked like it might squeeze through his pads.
And that was just a straight positioning save by Ryan Miller. The shot comes through. It's off Nick Bonino's skate this time. Goes right on net, and Miller stick down, able to make the save.
Chris Tanev to Alex Edler. And he delivers the puck in from center. MacArthur waiting. Burrows checks him. Back to Tanev. Slap shot. Blocked. Rebound. Higgins couldn't get it through. Now Tanev again. Passes in deep for Bonino. Couldn't get it through to Higgins. MacArthur trying to move the puck out. Checked again by Alex Burrows. Here's Chris Phillips. Read well by Edler. And covering for him is Burrows. Pass for Bonino was over his stick, but Higgins gets to the puck. Bonino from behind the goal. Burrows goes to the front. Bonino comes out front. Finds Tanev. He shoots. Blocker saved by Anderson. Bonino. Good pressure here from the Canucks. And Phillips able to reach out and deflect that puck over the glass for a much-needed whistle. Canucks with 7 shots. 2 of their best chances have come off the stick of Chris Tanev, who was foiled again by Anderson.
Start your weekend off right. Cheer on the Canucks as they take on Shane Doan and the Coyotes Friday night, 7 o'clock, Rogers Arena. Great seats still available. Visit Canucks.com/tickets for more information on individual game tickets as well as ticket packages, including 3 game packs and Cineplex family packs.
Arizona, 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 Arizona.
Yes.
I'll do better this time, I promise.
White Smith's starting to get his game together.
Canucks control off the face-off in the Ottawa zone. Henrik Sedin. Oh, nicely to Daniel Sedin. His shot went off the skate of Borowiecki. Daniel in the right wing corner. Behind the net, Hansen lets the puck go through to Henrik Sedin. Stanton moving into the blue line. Henrik steps around his man, leg one. Tries to center. That was blocked. Stanton moves down. Henrik Sedin behind the net. Stanton goes to the front. Looked like his stick was available for a pass. Now the puck loose behind the goal. Daniel Sedin gets it. Daniel to Henrik. In front for Daniel. knocked away by Greiba, and he's able to flip the puck out on the backhand. Henrik Sedin at the end of his shift just held the puck on Sutton. Now taken away by Zach Smith. Cowan ahead to Neal, who tips the puck forward. Yannick Weber controls. It's under 8.5 to go in a scoreless first. Weber up ahead to Bo Horvat. Weber takes his pass, wrist shot, handled by Anderson. And another whistle.
Finger cooked tonight. Order from over 100 menu items at bostonpizza.com.
Sedins have had the puck in the offensive zone, and after a play tight to the net, Henrik gets flat.
And I'm going to pronounce the name, Vorvietsky.
Yeah,
That's close enough.
Vorvietsky.
Vorvietsky.
Brandon DeFazio plays the puck in for Vancouver. Bobby Ryan tips it outside the blue line. Dan Hamhuis turns to get away from Zibanejad. And DeFazio backhands the puck in off the boards. McCulloch ahead. Canucks steal the puck. Lyndon Bay. In for Bo Horvat. DeFazio comes up with a backhander. Oh, it looked like there was a little room there, and Anderson on the short side made the save. Bay spins away from Carlson. Spins again. DeFazio from behind the goal. Put it in front. Bay couldn't get to the loose puck. Here's Tanev. Wide on McCulloch. Phillips had a chance to clear, couldn't do it. Canucks changing while controlling the puck in the Ottawa zone. Mathias cuts in front, and the loose puck is cleared out to center. Fans appreciate that shift. There have been a lot of them in the Ottawa end in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Here's Richardson breaking in. Wrist shot off the stick of Cowan and then the right pad of Anderson. Hoffman over the Vancouver blue line. Lazar tried to throw one across. He had Stone in front. The pass didn't get through, and Mathias brings the puck out. He's checked. Lazar wheels back in. Again, Stone goes to the front of the net as Lazar makes a move in the corner. Pass to Hoffman. And the Canucks will pick up that loose puck. Tanev brings it ahead. Ceci up for Stone. Missed the pass. That'll be icing.
Zananda belongs ship for the Ottawa Senators. Brandon DeFazio's had a couple of chances in this one. I agree with you, John. There was a little room. And fortunately for Craig Anderson, the puck hit his blocker. Did you get up high enough? DeFazio had 14 goals last year in Utica. Or 17 goals. He had 34 points last year in Utica. A little bit older, went to Clarkson.
Opportunities for those two in the face of some injuries to the Canucks. Clark MacArthur. Puck taken away by Alex Burrows. Now Bieksa takes it to safety. And plays the puck ahead. Chasing after it is Benino. Burrows going to the net, but Carlson turned on the Jets to catch up with that puck, and the Senators move it out. It's a hand pass from Vorvietsky to Turris.
This season, stay out of the penalty box. Find gifts you'll adore, like Arctic Brilliance Canadian Diamonds only at People's, Canada's diamond store. Let love shine.
Well, yesterday after practice, Kyle Turris mentioned he was going home for some of his mom's pierogies, bacon, cream cheese, and cheddar cheese. And then a couple questions later, he said, when you head out west, nutrition is of the utmost importance. Sounds to me like his idea of nutrition is the same as yours, John.
Yes, and put a little ketchup on those pierogies. Oh, man. Kyle got a goal against Toronto in their last game, and he got a goal in their first game of the year. And it looked like he had some chances against the Leafs. A little more confidence.
There's a chance for Edler off the glove of Anderson. Chris Phillips right up the middle. Benino intercepts, but then he gave the puck away to Carlson, who's able to poke it out to center with one hand. MacArthur to Turris. Wrist shot blocked. Loose puck. Canucks get it ahead to Chris Higgins, who delays before making a pass through to Edler. With Tanev, the two defensemen on this rush. And Edler tried an ill-advised drop pass and hit his own skate. The Senators clear. Jannik Hansen, nice move, and a backhander that fluttered wide on the short side. Weber electing to retreat, and here comes Zibanejad. Up the right wing, McCulloch checked. Hansen's open, and he's onside as he tried to take that pass, but didn't wind up with the breakaway he had designs on. Daniel Sedin holds the puck in. Gryba dangerously in front. Zibanejad was there to get the puck out of the danger zone. Now he carries through center. Fakes the slap shot, drop pass. Gryba with a wrister, and that's off a Canucks stick and over the glass.
Paul McLean trying to get his team back to a couple of years ago, and they were always referred to as the pesky Senators, and they had been better this year than last year. They had lost their way a little bit last year. Their goaltending's been better, especially Craig Anderson, and back to that hard work identity that they had a couple of years ago.
Don't think he'll be loving their play in their own zone so far in this one. Been some casual plays with the puck. And the Senators have outshot 12-3. But the game remains scoreless with 4 minutes to go in the first period.
They play 8 of their next 10 on the road.
Canucks in a different boat. 11-5 through 16 games, and this is only their 7th home game. Vancouver going 7-3 on the road. Stanton misplayed that one. Chris Neal with a centering pass. Now he throws one on goal from a sharp angle. It is stopped by Ryan Miller. First shot in quite some time for the Ottawa Senators. Erik Karlsson with room to move. Drop pass. Lazar with a wrist shot. Stick save Miller. And he's able to turn the puck over the glass in the corner to his right.
Well, defenseman going back, you always want to take a look, but you have to pay attention to a bouncing puck. Here it's flipped in, and you can see it's dancing. It hits on the corner, and Stanton looks around and then misjudges the bounce. And it almost cost him. Good play by Brad Richardson. Go right back to the front of the net. Doug Lidster, old defenseman, talking to Ryan Stanton.
Karlsson with a wrist shot, and that went wide of the goal. Stone centers. Here's Hoffman for Ottawa. Pass back, winds up at center. Chris Phillips is there. Now Lazar. Gains center, wrists the puck in. 3 minutes to go in the first. Canucks nothing, the Senators nothing. Ottawa working to hold the puck in the Vancouver zone. Hughes is on it. Up the middle to Bo Horvat. He finds Yannick Weber. Tracked down from behind, and the Senators turn it the other way. Stone in on the left side, fakes the shot, sends one across. Hoffman with a shot, missed the net. Here comes Bo Horvat. And he'll peel off after tipping the puck into the Ottawa zone. Borowiecki tried to find MacArthur. He missed the puck, and the Canucks, Edler sends it up the right side to Burrows. Bonino tried to hang the skate, but offside's the call.
This period brought to you by the 2015 Toyota Corolla. It's Corolla like you've never seen it before.
Good call by the linesman. No complaints from the Canucks. Nice pass to Alex Burrows, but Bonino just couldn't hang that skate long enough.
Senators with a couple of shots in recent times now after going nearly 7 minutes of hockey time without one. Here's another attempt by Borowiecki that goes wide. Ricochet all the way down inside the Ottawa line. Burrows and Higgins after the puck. Senators, though, tip it ahead to Turris. Crisscrossing with Chasson at the blue line. Turris turns in the corner. Tanev checks in. Bonino can't get the puck up. Chance for Ceci from the blue line. Works his way down to the goal line. And now Higgins will take the puck away for Vancouver. and bring it out under the check of Turris. He tips the puck in and heads to the bench. A minute and a half to go. This will be the last shift of the period for the Sedins, who played pretty well their entire time at this end of the ice. Stanton falls down as he shoots the puck in. Anderson settles it behind the goal for Jared Cowan, who's able to get away from Daniel Sedin. Zibanejad missed the pass. Stanton brings it offside, and they'll bring the face-off all the way back into the Vancouver zone. We'll follow Sportsnet on Twitter for real-time scores and highlight video updates from around the league every game night. At Sportsnet, the new home of the NHL.
I don't mind that call. Ryan Stanton knew it was offside. Linesman brought it all the way back down into the Canucks zone.
Senators will try to take advantage. Smith from the corner. Sharp angle shot. Stopped by Miller. Carlson steps around Matthias. Now leg one, and it's tipped in.
There's going to be a penalty. Hooking penalty before it goes in.
So leg one put one in front. I think Neal might have tipped it, thinking it was 1-0, but now the Senators are going to be shorthanded.
Ottawa, number 25, 2 minutes, hooking.
Good eyes, John.
Well, that was the referee at center ice. And Neal hooks Dan Hamhuis right there. And that created the room for Legwand to throw it to the front of the net. And the referee at center ice made the call.
So it wasn't the final Sedin shift of the period because they come out for the last-minute power play. Canucks struggling with the man advantage of late. 2 for 18 in their last 6 games. Against an Ottawa penalty killing unit that has staved off 18 of the last 19. Also through a 6-game stretch. CC gets the puck. He's able to clear it out. And the Canucks have 45 seconds left in the period to work with. Henrik Sedin. Pass for Daniel Sedin. Back for Henrik. Senators intercept. Phillips clears the puck.
Canucks power play has been very good at home. We talked about their struggles lately, most of it on the road.
Yannick Weber rushes the puck in. Senators get it. Past Lyndon Bay and down the ice. Time for one last foray up ice if they hurry. Weber for Henrik Sedin. Puck got by him. And that'll do it for period number 1. Canucks out shooting Ottawa 12-6. Ryan Miller beaten late, but waved off by a penalty, and Craig Anderson, the busier of the two. A dozen saves on a dozen shots to improve on his already league-leading save percentage for Ottawa. Nothing doing through one, Brad. We'll see if they can break the goose egg in the second. Canucks Senators scoreless as we get set for period number 2 here at Rogers Arena. Vancouver will be on the power play, but before we get to that, let's check out John Garrett's Fresh Take, brought to you by Subway. Try the new Canadian Beef Prime Rib Melt at Subway Restaurant. Subway, eat fresh.
Every now and then, because we see Henrik and Daniel Sedin so often, we take them for granted. Look at this play. Skate, stick, out of danger. Inside skate, complete control, take the hit, out of danger. Daniel, skate to Henrik, skate to stick, make the play, and it goes the other way. Unbelievable skill and talent.
Just had their little power play powwow as they get set to start the second. Canucks power play brought to you by Subway. Try the new Canadian Beef Prime Rib Melt at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. Minute 3 to go in the Chris Neal minor for hooking. And Alex Edler will skate the puck back before starting from behind his own goal. Falls down as he makes the pass. Canucks break the center. There's another part of your Fresh Take, John. Lyndon Bay in after the puck. It's cleared around. Yannick Weber moves down from the right point. Daniel Sedin to the blue line to Alex Edler. Here's Henrik Sedin, and now the Canucks set up. Daniel to Henrik to Edler. One-timer from Weber missed the net. 25 seconds to go in the power play. Henrik Sedin in front for Daniel. Put it to the crease. Couldn't get anything on the shot. Canucks keep control. 10 seconds to go in the man advantage. Alex Edler at the blue line. Wrist shot. And Anderson. A little awkward, but made the stop. Here's Henrik Sedin again. Penalty's over. Puck is centered off Greiba. Weber gets it in the corner around to Henrik Sedin. Canucks change their defense while the forwards control the puck in deep. Henrik for Hamhuis, tipped away by McCullough. Dan Hamhuis to Chris Tanev. Rink wide to Burrows, who's come on to replace Lyndon Vay. His shot is handled by Anderson. And the Senators will be able to get a much-needed change as he hangs on.
Well, for the minute 3 of that power play, the Canucks had complete control in the offensive zone. Wrist shot by Alex Edler. Through a maze of players. Craig Anderson didn't see it, but has it bank off his pad and stay out.
Edler kind of looked off like he might pass for the one-timer to Weber, and maybe Anderson was expecting that.
Well, it went right by Chris Phillips, who was standing in front.
Bonino with a face-off win. Borowiecki intercepts and passes around for Carlson. Senators move to center. Kyle Turris lost control of the puck. Hamhuis sends it forward towards Higgins. Now Tanev following up. Bonino risks the puck in. Borowiecki round the far side. Hamhuis, good job to hold it in. Bonino again to the corner, and Burrows moves in on Mark Borowiecki. That's a hand pass from Higgins to Burrows, stopping play.
This line has played very well with the dump and chase. Get in hard on the forecheck. They get in hard. There's Alex Burrows in. Chris Higgins, it's off his arm right to Alex Burrows, and that's the hand.
Zibanejad wins the face-off for Ottawa. Cody Ceci plays the puck forward. And Zibanejad risks it in. Ryan Miller to Ryan Stanton in the corner. He just dumps the puck to center. Jared Cowan the other way. Bieksa takes control. Round for Stanton. Pass to Richardson, who had his stick lifted by Bobby Ryan. Stanton takes the puck away. And now starts from behind his goal, around for Nick Jensen, but Cowan steps in front of him. Puck got by him, and Jensen skates to center. In over the Ottawa line on the right wing. Nick Jensen centers the puck, comes back to Stanton. Wrist shot blocked. Oh, Stanton hit from behind. There'll be a penalty to Cowan. Canucks control though. Mathias rips one off the target. And as Zibanejad touches the puck, the whistle blows, so the penalty to Jared Cowan.
And they're checking with Ryan Stanton. Ryan Stanton goes in, and Cowan, it could have been holding. It wasn't a vicious check into the boards, and by Cowan standards, wrapped him around as Ryan Stanton was turning, going the other way.
Boarding was the call. And the Canucks, who started the period with a minute of power play time, get their second opportunity here. Trying to regain the consistency they had earlier in the season, but now 2 for their last 19. And the Canucks, who were up amongst the league leaders not too long ago, have fallen to 17th in the NHL in power play percentage. We're up to 6th, the first day of the month. Edler with a long shot. Lyndon Vay was looking for the deflection, but the puck sails into the glove of Anderson.
Well, no traffic at all. I think that probably would have been a high stick had Lyndon Vay made contact anyway.
Senators kick the puck to the blue line. Edler there to hold it in. Vay to Daniel Sedin. As the Canucks set it up from that side this time. Henrik for Vay. And it's off Anderson's mask after ticking off the Ottawa player in front. Goaltender didn't know where that puck was, but it hit him in the head and stayed out.
Well, you couldn't have drawn that up any better. Lyndon Vay in that no man's land gets the shot, quick pass from Henrik to Lyndon Bay, who's got a little room. It hits Chris Phillips in front, goes up, hits the goaltender in the mask, Craig Anderson, and almost goes into his glove off the top of his head. Lyndon Bay just unfortunate as Chris Phillips makes a good save with his pass.
3 of Bay's 4 goals have been on the power play. That leads all NHL rookies. Now the second unit up for the Canucks. Hasn't scored since opening night in Calgary. Hughes. And now Alex Burrows. Burrows again from the corner. Pass back towards Bieksa, but Turris read that one, and the puck is down the ice. Under a minute to go in the penalty to Cowan. Approaching the 4-minute mark, second period, no score. Bonino takes the pass from Chris Higgins. Now Hughes. His pass is off Stone and right to Milan McCulloch, who carries in shorthanded. Gets in behind the goal. Now turns with a shot attempt. The Bieksa blocks that. Canucks try to break out. Daniel Sedin's back on. Pass to Nick Bonino. Here's Higgins with a quick shot. Didn't get much on it. Now he gets the puck back to Edler. Daniel Sedin, one-timer, stopped by Anderson. Chris Phillips able to clear the puck off the boards and down. 15 seconds to go in the Vancouver power play. Canucks up to 18 shots in the game. Ottawa's had just 6. But where it matters on the scoreboard, it reads 0-0. Here comes Cowan back on, so the Canucks are 0 for 2 on the power play. Chris Tanev to Daniel Sedin. Perfect bank pass to Hansen, who tried to send one in front for Henrik Sedin. Now he gets it around for Daniel. Back to Hansen. Spinning behind the goal. Daniel Sedin from the corner. Tanev at the blue line. Other side, Edler with a wrist shot. Off a leg, right to Daniel Sedin. Henrik, pressured by Greiba. Tanev holds the puck into the right point. Edler at the left point. Wrist one towards the goal, and that hit an Ottawa player and then went off the top of the net. Canucks coming close with some weird ones. Hansen moves forward again. Tipped out by Greiba. Edler being pursued here by Chiasson. Turris centering pass, and Jannik Hansen was there to step in front of Clark MacArthur. Henrik Sedin into his ship, dumps the puck in as he's bodied by MacArthur in front of the Vancouver bench. 6 minutes gone in the second, no score. And MacArthur plays chip and chase for Ottawa. Took a whack at Ryan Miller's goal stick. Miller took exception to that, and then MacArthur jabbed him again. And here's Mathias moving in to Tours. Moments after Ryan Miller made a wood-chopping motion at Clark MacArthur, Sean Mathias up the ice to open the scoring. And now Miller's all the way out to center, talking to the referee.
He's got a broken stick, and that's what he's complaining about. There's the chop from MacArthur on Ryan Miller's stick. And you say, okay, that's not a slash, and he's going to wave at him. You talked about Sean Mathias playing his best hockey here. A big forward with a power move. Backhand, forehand on Craig Anderson. Protects the puck. Backhand, quick forehand, 5-hole. What a move by Sean Mathias in tight.
6:13, the time of the opening goal, second period. Mathias has his second of the year. And the Canucks break through on their 19th shot on Craig Anderson. Now the Senators come back, and that one tipped on goal by Curtis Lazar. Miller the save, he's got the puck, his team has the lead. Sean Mathias puts Vancouver up 1-0. Sean Mathias, opening goal, and a winner on Safeway Score and Win for Safeway and Nabob Coffee. From Kaleden, Angela Galvago, you've won a Troy-built single-stage snow thrower.
Sean Mathias, backhand, forehand. You can see Craig Anderson thinks he's going to try and go high. And there's Ryan Miller showing Wes McCauley his broken goal stick and saying, okay, he chopped that and broke my stick. Clark MacArthur, that is.
Former teammates in Buffalo. Now MacArthur tries a shot, winds up on the stick of Alex Burrows. Penalty coming up to Nick Bonino as he took down MacArthur in the neutral zone, hoping to spring an odd man rush. And Bonino will put his team shorthanded.
Well, he's pleading his case.
Vancouver minor penalty
Tripping, and he got the stick between the legs of Clark MacArthur, and MacArthur made sure. Bonino shaking his head.
Penalty comes 20 seconds after the Mathias goal. And Ottawa gets its first opportunity on the power play. Senators have scored with the man advantage in 10 of their first 14 games this season.
We got Erik Karlsson that helps.
He'll lead the power play out from the Ottawa zone. MacArthur to Turris. Chasson to the blue line to Karlsson. And now Turris at the left point. Pass for Karlsson. Richardson had designs on stealing that one. And now he's got the same thoughts, but Karlsson holds the puck in. Higgins there to pounce and get it out and all the way down. 40 seconds elapsed in the penalty to Nick Bonino. Karlsson sifts his way over the Vancouver blue line. Pass in front and thrown to the crease and out the near side by David Leglois. Now here's a chance. Jannik Hansen short-handed with Mathias. Hansen shoots and Anderson made the save. Canucks with the odd man rush, down a man, looking for their second short-handed goal of the year. Ottawa's given up a couple. Bieksa steps into MacArthur. Stanton upended by MacArthur. Puck held in by Turris. Trying to get away from Henrik Sedin. He shoots and a glove save by Miller, who calmly reached up the left hand to make that one.
Erik Karlsson is such a good skater. Jannik Hansen looks like he's got a clean breakaway all the way in. Sean Mathias is with him, and here comes Karlsson. Just enough to make sure that Hansen can't cut across. It makes it much easier for the goaltender, and now Craig Anderson just plays the shot because he knows that Hansen can't go across.
35 seconds left in the Ottawa power play. Canucks have killed off 25 of their last 28, but surrendered a goal on the only Anaheim power play chance a couple of nights ago at the Honda Center. Sami Vatanen scoring that one.
Right from a face-off.
Won by Ryan Kessler. Weber lost his stick. He's got it back now. 15 seconds to go in the Ottawa power play, and the Sens won't be happy with the ref there as the puck ticked off Wes McCauley and down the ice.
Couldn't get out of the way at all.
Here comes Bonino back on. Canucks back to full strength as Bobby Ryan cuts in off the right wing, and his shot is stopped by Miller. Daniel Sedin clears the puck ahead. Bonino ahead. Daniel to Henrik, cutting in towards the goal. Slows. Henrik drops for Daniel. His backhander stop, and then Anderson had to react with the right arm as the puck came back towards the goal, and he gets the whistle.
Bobby Ryan, who's been banged up this year, shows why he got the big contract. Little toe drag to the middle. Good save by Ryan Miller. Gets his own rebound. I thought Henrik was going to shoot it right there. No, drop pass. And Craig Anderson with the save.
You thought Henrik was going to shoot it?
I know, silly me.
Got a delay here. I don't know what there's some debris on the ice. We're trying to figure out where it came from. One of the clips for the glass while they deal with that. Here's Murph.
Well, guys, time to tell the folks at home Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game between the Canucks and Senators is Nabob Coffee.
Now the little delay here while they come out to fix that.
The rounded partition at the end of the bench. And remember we were talking about the dashers before, and remember how they used to have those partitions at the end of the bench that had the turnbuckle on them, and you can remember Max Pacioretty getting guided into one. Now they have the rounded piece, and that's where the clasp fell off.
They're not going to replace it. And the game will continue. Edler from the line. That hit Burrows, I think. Puck is, or was in his equipment, now grabbed by Anderson.
Borowiecki does a nice job on Alex Burrows in front. Draws one. Borowiecki steers him to the side, and Craig Anderson's able to make the save. That's not an easy job. Alex Burrows is very good at going to that, keeping his body in the line of the shot. Borowiecki with a good job pushing him aside.
Burrows scored in Anaheim. The deflection of the Dan Hamhuis shot that tied the game at 1 and allowed the Canucks to get the win in the shootout. Here's MacArthur moving in on the right wing. Puck got by him. Tanev leaves for Bonino. Chris Tanev out with the puck. 4 Canucks through center on this rush. Tanev finds some room on the right wing, sends it across. Now here's Burrows, stopped by Anderson, loose puck. Bonino can't put it home. Lots of open room there. Burrows kind of shot it back towards the goalie, I think, who made the save with his left pad.
Craig Anderson was still over on the other side, and you're right that Burrows' shot hit him. Boy, was that nice passing.
Bieksa flips one forward. Cowan to Hoffman. Lazar sends one to go. Rebound, they score! Mike Hoffman. The rebound off the Curtis Lazar shot, and the game's tied at 1.
And you can see Ryan Miller tap his stick as he knows that rebound wasn't exactly what he wanted. Curtis Lazar is, like Bo Horvat, has played so many junior playoff games that he fits right in. You don't have a play, shoot it on net, and the rebound's right there for Hoffman, and you can see Ryan Miller's reaction. He bangs his stick on the ice. Instead of going to the corner, it's right back out in front, and Hoffman's there to bang it in.
His 5th at 10:02. And Curtis Lazar still without an NHL goal, but has 5 assists in 13 career games with that one.
Member of the Edmonton Oil Kings, who been to the Memorial Cup a couple of times in the Lazar's junior career.
So back to square here with a couple of goals in the second period. Canucks out shooting Ottawa 22-11. Jared Cowan the second assist. Yannick Weber holds the puck in the Ottawa zone. Bo Horvat to Nick Jensen. So this line got younger.
Yeah.
As Jensen replaces DeFazio. Or pardon me, replaces Lyndon Bay. Jensen, round for Weber. And Cody Ceci breaks that up. Here's Bobby Ryan into the Vancouver zone. Leg one. Back to Borowiecki. Now the puck center. McCulloch with one hand on the stick couldn't steer it on goal. Senators pressuring here. Leg one. Back to Borowiecki. His shot blocked by Horvat. Hamhuis trying to get the puck out. And now it is tipped out to center. 2 of the young Canuck forwards able to get off the ice. Jensen stays out. Now he'll get to the bench as Borowiecki waits for his teammates to vacate the zone before tipping the puck back in. Henrik Sedin starts out for Vancouver. Long pass ahead. Hansen bobbled it. Anderson has it stolen by Hansen. Henrik Sedin behind the net. Daniel Sedin works his way to the corner. Now Henrik Bodied by Phillips. Hansen onto the puck, and he knocked the stick out of the goaltender's hand. So Anderson without his stick here. But it makes the play behind the net for him. And Karlsson gets the puck out. Nice poke check there. Oh, Anderson was out of the net. Henrik Sedin didn't realize at center. Could have taken a crack at the empty goal as Anderson was retrieving his stick behind. Here's Hansen. Alex Edler. Wrist shot wide. Puck comes to Kevin Bieksa. Daniel Sedin took a look and then missed the puck. And Karlsson starts out. Good burst through center. Now a nice move and a wrist shot that hit Miller in the mask. And the puck gloved out of harm's way by Ryan Stanton. 7 minutes to go in the second. MacArthur on Bieksa. Now Lazar trying to steal the puck, but Burrows is onto it for Vancouver. Into the Ottawa zone. Higgins after the puck on the near side. Taken away by Mark Stone. And Cowan moves it ahead. Hoffman passes behind Stone, who stops to take it on the ricochet. Stanton upended. Bonino gets the puck ahead. Higgins in on the left wing. Trying to get away from Cowan. Chris Higgins sends one across. That went off Hoffman. And Stone starts back for Ottawa. It's end-to-end without chances.
Yes, other than the Erik Karlsson lone rush with a good save by Ryan Miller.
Drive up for Lazar, who deflects the puck into Miller. And Richardson takes possession with a pass to Yannick Weber. His pass deflects across to Dan Hamhuis, ahead to Lyndon Vey, who's just stepped onto the ice. Vey checks Greiba, but Zibanejad moves the puck ahead and now gets a return pass. Bobby Ryan. Now McCulloch back to Borowiecki, who dumps the puck in behind the goal. Edler cuts it off. 5.5 to go in the second. And McCulloch able to hold the puck in. Tanev flips it out. Borowiecki takes control inside his own blue line. Here's Ryan Miller to the corner. And Edler reverses to Tanev. Edler lugs the puck ahead. Phillips stepped up to block that one. And the Canucks are back into their own zone. Chesson down for Turris, centering pass. Tanev there to knock it away. And now from the corner, he pivots behind the goal and gets the puck around to Daniel Sedin. Daniel over the Ottawa line, trying to step inside on Karlsson, and was able to recover and pick up the puck, move it ahead, not out. Stanton, Henrik Sedin, Daniel Sedin couldn't get a shot away. Now he throws it in front, and intercepting is Karlsson, who dumps the puck off the glass, tipped out to center. And
Boy, that was a
Hansen
good
has
play by Craig Anderson, that long poke check. Daniel had some room. Anderson took it away.
Bieksa rushes the puck in. Henrik Sedin from the corner. Daniel to Henrik, to Hansen. He missed the pass, and the puck's out to neutral ice. Dumped back in by Bieksa as the Canucks change on the fly again. Hamhuis settles the puck inside his own blue line. Turns to get away from Stone. Ahead for Higgins. That hit the linesman. Came right back to Chris Higgins. Here's Bonino cutting it on goal. Centers the puck. Burrows scores. Erik Karlsson right over to have words with Mark Wheeler as the puck came off the linesman and the Canucks took advantage.
Well, that's the breaks of the game. And we saw some breaks go Ottawa's way. That one off Chris Phillips that hit Craig Anderson in the head and stayed out. This one off Mark Wheeler. And Erik Karlsson gets caught halfway. He thought it was going to go in all the way. What a pass. And Nick Bonino sets up Alex Burrows. Chris Higgins, outside inside on Karlsson. Bonino slips it through. And Alex Burrows is playing with such confidence. Stick on the ice, bang, bang, play, no mistake.
Second goal in as many games for Alex Burrows. He's got 4 on the season. And that line stays out for the shift after the goal, which came at 16-17 in the second period. Hughes, dangerous pass, and now Legwand has the puck, flips it towards the goal. Chris Neil. Neil, back to Ceci. Legwand behind the goal. Hughes is on hand for Nashville teammates. Cowan with a long shot. That deflects wide of the goal. Higgins can't get the puck out. Legwand wrist shot, and Miller doesn't stop play. He's trying to get the puck out of Bonino there. And action continues with just under 3 minutes to go in the second period. Canucks leading 2-1. Burrows missed that puck. He and Bonino have been out there a while. And the icing call brings the face-off back into the Vancouver zone. Alex Burrows produces another winner on score and win for Safeway and Nabob Coffee. Robert Holowenko of Penticton, he won a Lagostina 10-piece cookware set.
Here's Alex Burrows waiting for the line change. Good line change, and now he sees what's going to happen. Anticipates well, a little tap, stick on the ice. Perfect pass from Nick Bonino.
Canucks call their timeout here after the icing. Mentioned Bonino and Burrows in particular have been out there a while, and they'll get an extra 30 seconds.
Great Canadian Oil Change. Family owned and operated, superb customer service and new vehicle warranty approved products including Valvoline Premium Oils. Great Canadian Oil Change, over 60 locations across Canada.
That's one of those where Ryan Miller should have held on. It's the end of a shift. He wanted to keep it going. He thought that Ottawa was changing. Nick Bonino didn't know he was going to throw it up. Take the face off, you make your line change, and now Canucks had to use their timeout.
Timeout done. They'll face off in the Vancouver zone with just over 2.5 minutes to go in the second period. And Hughes able to guide the puck towards Sean Mathias, and he plays it down over the Ottawa blue line. Now MacArthur rushes in. Turris turns with a shot. Miller reached out with the stick to poke that to the corner. MacArthur from the corner, trying to drag the puck in front, following up his Turris. He scores! Might have got off the stick of Richardson into the top corner of the net, and Kyle Turris ties the game at 2.
I talked about Kyle Turris scoring against the Leafs in the last game, and everybody said he looked like he was playing with some more confidence as he hadn't scored in 12 games. He gets this one as the Canucks had a chance to get it out. Yannick Weber couldn't get it out. Dan Hamhuis sliding, pokes it away. I don't think this hit Brad Richardson's stick. I think it's just a quick snapper in tight by Kyle Turris, high glove side.
I forget how talented they are sometimes, how quickly they can get the puck out. And that was perfectly into the top corner of the net. New Westminster's Kyle Turris with his 3rd of the year. Here's Jannik Hansen. Daniel Sedin hit the post. Canucks almost answer right back. Now another post off the stick of Edler. Still 2-2. Miller out of his net, brings the puck around. Senators controlling their own zone. Carlson slowing things down as both teams finish changes in the neutral zone. Burrows holds the puck into the blue line. Now Chris Higgins into the corner for Bonino. Did well to knock that one around Lazar. Bonino in front. Burrows is in the crease, and Anderson's fuming about that. Again, Burrows holds the puck in. trying to pass off for Bonino. Final minute. Bonino upends Carlson. Play goes on. Here's Higgins. Spinning on Cowan. Centers Bonino over his stick. Here's Bieksa. Shot blocked. Stanton at the other point. Cross to Kevin Bieksa. 30 seconds to go in the second. Bieksa once more. Wrist shot knocked down in front. And Hoffman skates the puck to safety and backhands it out. .20 seconds left in the period. Burrows, pass in front, intercepted by Chris Neal. Senators have 10 seconds to work with here. Tanev takes the puck away. Tries to get it out. Now it's intercepted by Mathias. 2 seconds to go. Fans imploring him to shoot. Canucks went offside, but the horn sounds. Sean Mathias opened the scoring in this hockey game here in the second. Alex Burrows gave the Canucks another lead, but twice Ottawa has come back. And deuces are wild as we head to the third period. 40 minutes done, 2-2, the Canucks and the Senators here in Vancouver.
This one's up for grabs. Senators and Canucks tied at 2 with a period to go. Scoring summary brought to you by Panago Pizza. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. Mathias opened the scoring. Hoffman tied it. Burrows gave the Canucks a lead. Turris tied it. We're in the third. John?
Murph, thanks. First of 3 at home for the Canucks, looking to build on the win in Anaheim.
Senators move on to Alberta. Play Thursday in Edmonton and then Saturday in Calgary.
Here's an early icing call. Sedin's in an offensive zone face-off, and they've spent pretty well every shift they've played in the offensive end, it seems.
Well, they had that shift where they had 2 posts, and then the Senators came down and scored right after that. They've had a few of those shifts where they've had some chances. Just not much luck around the net.
Henrik Sedin against Kyle Turris on the face-off, just 8 seconds into the third. And he wins it. Back to Alex Edler, who fakes shooting it. Still has the puck, lets it go, and off the blocker of Craig Anderson. Daniel Sedin in behind for Henrik. Daniel into the corner, Hansen banks the puck back to Tanev. He wrists one towards the goal, that goes wide. Edler hustles down from the point, leaves the puck for Daniel Sedin. His shot blocked by Carlson. Phillips gets the puck. Pass for Carlson in the corner, and he sends it up the boards, knocked down by Daniel Sedin. Back to Edler towards the goal. Henrik couldn't pick up the puck on the side, and MacArthur's able to clear the puck off the glass and out. Both teams changing as Edler steps around Zibanejad, gives the puck to Alex Burrows, and he plays it in behind the goal. Anderson around to the far side. Bieksa kicks the puck to the corner. Higgins there, tied up by Jared Cowan. Bobby Ryan able to backhand the puck out, and Bieksa goes back. Bieksa checked in the corner by Zibanejad, who gets the puck back to Ceci. Now to Cowan, wrist shot wide. Puck towards Higgins. Gets it to the blue line, not out. Chance in front for McCulloch, and now Ryan following up. Tries to center, and Bieksa, while down on the ice, had that puck hit him in the leg. Ceci gloves one down and moves back in. McCulloch, checked by Stanton. David Legwand loses the battle to Chris Higgins. And both teams will want to change here as Higgins plays the puck up to Stanton. He couldn't move it in deep. Ran into Ceci, but keeps battling for the puck, allowing the Canucks to finish their change. Sean Mathias ahead to Brad Richardson, who tips the puck in. Zach Smith, first man back for Ottawa. Throws it up the middle. Richardson almost had the steal. Now he collects the puck at center. Yannick Weber to Linden Vey. Senators thwart that entry. Weber tries again, ahead to Richardson. And he'll start a change by dumping the puck in deep.
sure the Ottawa Senators feel very fortunate to be even coming into the third period. You can tell they're playing a little more concentrating on the defensive side of the puck.
Long shot by Lazar into the glove of Miller. He hangs on, and here's Murph.
Canucks Open Practice presented by Sportsnet back Saturday, November 22nd at Rogers Arena starting at 10 a.m. Get up and close view of your favorite players and coaches as you prepare for the game against the Blackhawks. Tickets are free. Go to Canucks.com/openpractice for details.
Always entertaining to see what the coaches do, the drills before the game.
Here's Alex Chasson in the corner. Puck taken away by Nick Bonino. And Alex Burrows finds Chris Tanev. Higgins backhands the puck in. Chris Phillips around for Carlson. He hit Higgins with that pass attempt. Phillips so able to get the puck around and out to center. Canucks trying to pick that one up. Here comes Bonino down the boards. Higgins, sharp angle shot, stopped by Anderson. Burrows was cruising down Main Street. Higgins elected to shoot that puck.
And Craig Anderson really on top of his game. He's been fortunate in this game, a couple of posts. But here it's a rebound, and that's all Chris Higgins is trying to do. Shot and a rebound. He's almost an impossible angle. Shot and trying to get a rebound, but Craig Anderson made sure it's only about 3 inches away from his stick, able to hang on.
Shift here for the young trio of Horvat, DeFazio, and Jensen. And the icing call is going to bring the puck down.
Protect your engine in temperatures as low as 40 below with Mobil 1 Advanced Fuel Economy. Mobil 1. Energy lives here.
Bo Horvat tasked with a defensive zone draw here after the icing call. Senators won it, but puck came straight towards DeFazio, tips it into Ottawa territory. DeFazio made his debut in Anaheim. Said he was playing on adrenaline and adrenaline only. Third game in 3 nights, and his travel schedule to get to Anaheim was pretty crazy. Horvat. Pass for DeFazio. Missed his stick. Canucks will change. Ottawa to do likewise here just past the 4-minute mark of the third.
Not a whole lot of direct flights out of Utica.
I think he said he went Syracuse, Detroit, Anaheim, if I remember correctly. Lyndon Vay, good job to hold that puck in. But now it's onto the stick of Milan McCulloch. Up to Bobby Ryan, checked by Dan Hamhuis. Ryan sprawling out, holds the puck in, finds McCulloch. His shot knocked down by Miller. Weber gets the puck ahead. Mathias couldn't find it. And Chris Phillips turns before passing ahead for McCulloch. Gave it away. Daniel Sedin quickly the other way. Drop pass. Vay centers the puck for Richardson. And the Canucks never got a shot out of that one. After the veteran of over 1,100 games, Chris Phillips served one up at center. Here's Henrik Sedin. Slap shot off the blocker of Anderson. And Carlson winds up with the puck. 5 minutes into the third, a 2-2 tie. Edler leads for Tanev. Bodied by MacArthur, but gets the puck to Hansen. Ahead to Daniel Sedin. Could have been another odd man rush, but he couldn't settle the puck, and this will be icing instead.
Chris Phillips, as you said, John, right up the middle, and Daniel Sedin coming off the bench steals it. Lyndon Vay right beside him, gives it to Lyndon Vay, who instead of shooting it, tries to feed it across to Brad Richardson. Shoot it. No, and then it goes to Brad Richardson, who's at the end of the shift, and he can't get a shot.
Daniel Sedin skates the puck right out. Slows inside the blue line. Hansen and Edler in front, who was checked before he can make a pass. Daniel around for Henrik. Back to Bieksa. Lets it go. Slows! I think it'll be Bieksa's first of the year.
I think so too, and I think it hit Borowiecki in front of the net. And the Sedin line finally gets rewarded for all the play in the offensive zone that they've had in this game. Henrik gets it back. Nice little bank pass to Kevin Bieksa. Here's Henrik, and look at this bank pass. Perfect bank pass to Kevin Bieksa. And it is up. No, that's not more. Greiba. Jannik Hansen goes to the front of the net. He's boxed out, and both defensemen in boxing Hansen out get in a position to deflect it in their own net.
I don't think it hit Hansen. I think you're right. I think it hit the Ottawa player Greiba in front. Bieksa's first of the year, if that's how it goes. It'll be his first in 40 games dating back to last season. Out the other end, a chance in tight, backhanded wide by Lazar. He was looking for the first of his career. Senators have responded well in this game when falling behind. It is Bieksa's goal. And for the third time in the game, the Canucks have a lead. Here's a turnover, and Hoffman skates the other way. Drop pass, Stone in front, shoots, stopped by Miller, who came out to challenge. Bieksa from Henrik and Danielson, the scoring play at 5:36. Here's Erik Karlsson. Stripped of the puck by Mathias. He's in on the left wing. Mathias slows. Now dumps the puck around for Linden Vey. Anderson out of his net, plays it to the side. Tanev is there. In for Vey, and now Mathias from the corner. Centers the puck. Vey try to knock it out of midair. And Karlsson finds Bobby Ryan. Ryan down the right wing to the crease, knocked away by Miller. Here's Cowan off the bench and into the play, centering the puck. McCulloch trying to jam it home on the backhand, couldn't do it. A little over 7 minutes into the third, 3-2 Canucks. Ryan with a wrist shot, blocked by Tanev. And Mathias comes back and dumps the puck in. Henrik Sedin, round Cowan, Daniel going to the net. Henrik for Daniel, leaves for Henrik. Throws one across. Daniel Sedin to Stanton, long shot, that hit Ceci in front. Hansen into the corner to Henrik Sedin. Falls down under the check of Cowan. And Chris Neal passes to Cody Ceci. That puck knocked away by Bieksa. Neal brings it back in offside. 12:07 to go in the third. Canucks with the lead. Lazar almost tied it for a third time.
Pizza Hut wants you to win autographed Canucks jersey with a chance to win free pizza for a year with their Eat Pizza Win Stuff contest. Go to pizzahut.ca or call 310-1010 to order, and you're automatically entered to win every week from September to November. Pizza Hut, the official pizza of the Vancouver Canucks.
On the day we honor those who've served this country so bravely. The Canucks in the opener of a 3-game homestand looking to knock off Ottawa. Had the kids up early watching the proceedings from Ottawa this morning.
They always have a nice ceremony in Trenton, Ontario at the Cenotaph Service Town.
Here's Alex Burrows trying to put one on goal, blocked by Borowiecki. Bonino checked by Karlsson. And he skates forward for Ottawa. Pass to Turris. Lost the puck. Canucks turn it back. Bonino leaves for Higgins. Line mates are changing as he moves in on the right wing. Waiting for help. Pass for Henrik Sedin was out of his reach. Hansen can't hold the puck in. And here's Mark Stone. To Turris. Wrist shot stops. Stone with the rebound. Scores! Ottawa comes off the mat again. Stone with 11:18 to go in the third makes it 3-3.
You can see Willie Desjardins is not happy. And you've got a 3-2 lead. You're not quite halfway through the third period. Chris Higgins throws this one. You say, oh, well, that play's close, but on the defensive side of the puck, now you've turned it over. And you're in a line change. Kyle Turris, who's had a very good game, just throws it, shot and a rebound. We talked about Mark Stone before the game and how he's got points in 6 of the last 7. Now make it 7 of the last 8.
5th goal of the year. And Ottawa showing great bounce back capacity in this one. Never led, never trailed by more than 1. Turris, the only assist on the Stone goal at 8:42. And now the puck is up and out of play in the Vancouver zone for a whistle.
Canon's Best in Glass sale. Save big on cameras and lenses for a limited time only. Visit canon.ca/bestinglass today.
Canucks talked about it when they were talking to Irv. Sean Matthias and Nick Bonino both, they would make a couple of mistakes, a game that they've controlled for the majority of the time, but a couple of mistakes. And Yannick Weber couldn't get one out on the second Ottawa goal, and Chris Higgins with that pass to try and create an offensive chance, turned it around and ends up in the net.
Here's Lyndon Bay holding the puck in on the right wing. Shot stopped by Anderson. Bay from behind the goal. Lazar's on him. Bay trying to create some space. Back to Bieksa. Cowan cuts that one off, but is checked by Matthias. Spinning in the corner. Matthias trying to bring the puck in front. Now it's loose. Reaching was Richardson, but couldn't corral it. Bay to Stanton. Matthias on the other side. Tried to get the puck behind the net. Ceci blocked that, but he hands the puck to Bay. Sean Matthias from the corner. Pass back. Stanton held it in on the backhand. Now Matthias. Bay for Richardson. Good zone time here. Canucks haven't got one on net yet. That puck almost ricocheted in front, but Ceci's able to come up with it. Get it ahead to Hoffman, who relays to Stone. He dumps the puck in, knocked down by a high stick by Stanton. So that stops play. We're in the second half of the third. 3-3 at Rogers Arena.
Canucks Fantasy Hockey, powered by Rogers, is back with a brand new format. Compete against other fans and you could win monthly prizes. Visit CanucksFantasyHockey.com to play for free and show your fellow fans what you're made of.
Kyle Turris out to take this draw. He's taken 20 faceoffs. Half of the faceoffs for the Ottawa Senators in this game.
110, lost 10. He's got a goal and an assist. And now he'll contest this one with Alex Burrows after Bonino was waved out. Edler up to center for Bonino. Turris back to intercept that puck. Finds MacArthur, who drops back. Borowiecki to Erik Karlsson. MacArthur in on the left wing. Centers for Turris, couldn't get a shot away as Edler moved to check it. Now Bonino to Burrows. Tanev racing to try to join him. Turris got in his way. The Canucks all peel off on a change as Karlsson controls behind his net. Ottawa changing as well. The young Ottawa captain. Fans, I guess, imploring him to do something with the puck, and now it's out to center. Ryan in on the left wing. Zibanejad lets the puck go through McCulloch, trying to cut it front. Poke check by Miller. And Daniel Sedin takes control behind the net. Canucks a shot away from 30. Ottawa's had 20. Henrik Sedin, beautiful tip pass to Jannik Hansen. Hansen to Hamhuis. Here's Daniel Sedin to Henrik Sedin. Behind the net for Jannik Hansen. Makes a move to the corner. Now has his stick lifted by Phillips, but he can't move the puck out. Henrik towards Daniel. Anderson out to poke the puck to the corner. Daniel Sedin gets it. Pass for Henrik came right through to the goaltender. And Anderson falls on the puck for the whistle. Canucks had a 3-2 lead briefly. That man provided it. Kevin Bieksa produced a winner on Score and Win for Safeway and Nabob Coffee. From Cranbrook, Harry Schaefer, he won a Bull of a Marine Star watch.
Kevin just shot it at the net. Got a fortunate bounce. If you say that's his first of the season.
Here's Jared Cowan, loses the puck, gets it back, and the Senators are offside as Nick Jensen almost stole that puck and created a rush the other way. Willie Desjardins showing confidence.
Less than 10 minutes left here in the third period, tie game, and now changes the Horvat lineup.
It was a short shift.
Well, that's because Paul McLean changed his line.
Carlson risks the puck in. Here's Ryan Stanton hoisting one. Ahead, Richardson. Couldn't make contact with the puck. Senators come up with it. Hoffman in with Lazar. Plays the puck to the corner. Carlson rushes in from the blue line. Now Lazar trying to get away from Richardson. Takes the puck away. Lyndon Vay has it. Richardson content to lift it out down to the Ottawa blue line. 7 minutes to go in the third. Canucks 3, the Senators 3. These teams playing in December 7th in Ottawa, part of that long 7-game Eastern trip for the Canucks. Carlson pressured by Burrows. Now Bonino moves in on the left wing. Nick Bonino shoots. And off the right shoulder of Anderson. Bonino centers, and that puck slides all the way down into the Vancouver zone.
Boy, that wrist shot of Nick Bonino, that was a dangerous shot too, and a good save by Craig Anderson.
We've come to learn he can be dangerous even from sharp angles. Witness his second goal in Denver the other night. Here's Turris rushing out for Ottawa. Puck knocked away from him. Phillips gets it. Now it's tipped nicely to Turris, whose shot was blocked by Alex Edler. Chris Higgins. And the puck winds up on the stick of Nick Bonino with under 6 minutes to go in the third. Bonino couldn't get it in deep. Canucks want to change here, but it's the Senators. McCulloch moving in. Wrist shot stopped by Miller. Rebound there, taken away by Tanev. Now Ryan is stopped by Miller, and he hangs on for the whistle. 5:46 to go in the third. Anybody's game. Tied here in Vancouver.
Canucks hockey. Brought to you by Subway. Try the savory new prime rib melt. Thick cuts of juicy Canadian beef for a limited time only at participating restaurants. Subway. Eat fresh.
Beautiful day in Vancouver. Cold though.
A little blustery. Little blustery.
Blustery's a good word. Supposed to dip down again tonight. Dan Hamhuis. Checked by Bobby Ryan. Hamhuis rides Ryan into the boards, and Daniel Sedin skates to center. Pass went off the toe of his stick. Senators dump the puck the other way. Yannick Weber trying to move it, but here comes McCulloch in. Carlson sneaking in back door. Pass was out of his reach to get a quick shot away. Now Daniel Sedin ahead to Yannick Hansen. Down the left wing, making moves on Borowiecki. Ryan winds up with the puck. Trying to get around Bieksa. Intercepting is Dan Hamhuis with 5 minutes to go in the third. Bieksa being watched by Kyle Turris, makes a pass to Dan Hamhuis. He's forced back by Turris. Phillips blocks that one. Now Richardson takes the puck. And all of a sudden this game's looking like the first 5 minutes of the first period. Here comes MacArthur. Pass intercepted by Lyndon Vay. Over the Ottawa line. Matthias goes to the front. Richardson as well. Matthias got a good shot away and hit the goaltender in the chest. Anderson able to cover. Murph.
Shop at Safeway today. Watch Future Sportsnet telecast, and you could win an all-inclusive trip for two to a Grand Bahia Principe Resort, courtesy of redtag.ca, where Canada shops for great travel deals.
Lyndon Vay does a nice job, turns everybody around, and that leaves Sean Matthias in the middle. Chris Phillips stayed with them, but Matthias still able to get that shot. Craig Anderson with a good save.
Zach Smith brings the puck to center, tips it in behind the Vancouver goal. Chris Neal is there. Now Smith again. Ceci. Wrist shot. Miller the save. Stanton dives out to try to clear the rebound. Held in by Smith. Now Burrows gets a hold of the puck. Lifts it high to the Ottawa blue line. Jared Cowan takes possession. Offside call. 3:40 to go. And these teams flirting with the potential of some extra time here.
The Ottawa Senators talking about traveling to the West Coast and how you change time zones, and their game really starts at 10 o'clock. And can you imagine? Can you imagine those people complaining about changing time zones before a game? It seems like almost every trip the Canucks take.
You just learn to ignore time zones.
Yes.
Here's Henrik Sedin. Unloads the puck to center. Carlson has it. McCullough deflects the puck back in. 3 minutes to go in the third. Tanev to Henrik Sedin. His pass blocked, and the puck's back out to neutral ice. Stolen away from Edler by Hoffman. Miller out of his net. Plays the puck around the glass. Lazar able to slow it down, and Hoffman plays it behind the goal. Tanev tries the other side, but they missed the puck as he tried to get a hold of it. Edler up for Daniel Sedin. He can't get it out. Lazar and Tanev engaged behind the goal. Now Lazar steals, comes out the near side, centering pass at Tanev, who's broken his stick and defending without one at the moment. Hoffman in the corner. Lazar got clipped with a stick. He's checking for damage, but neither official with the arm in the air. Lazar okay to continue. He plays the puck in and heads to the bench. 2 minutes to go in the third period, and the Canucks have been hemmed in their own zone a little bit here. Turris moves back in. Chasson can't get a shot away, and he takes a hard hit from Kevin Bieksa. Cowan from the blue line. In behind the goal, Turris gets to the puck in the corner. Backhands one in front. Tipped free by Richardson, who picks up the puck. Gets it just outside the blue line. With a minute and a half remaining. Higgins trying to steal the puck at the blue line. Turris winds up with it. Cross center for Jared Cowan, who takes it on the carom. Bobby Ryan back out. Plays the puck behind the goal. Miller shoots it around for Higgins. Didn't get anything on that pass, and Ryan plays the puck the other way. Stanton has it to Yannick Weber. Ahead to Higgins. Down the left side. Wrist shot. Stopped by Anderson. And he hangs on as we move into the final minute of the third period.
Turnaround by Brian Stanton. Moves the puck up quickly at Chris Higgins. He's looking for a rebound, but Craig Anderson will have none of that off his chest.
Here's the game review brought to you by The Brick, saving you more on furniture, mattresses, appliances, and big screen TVs.
Kyle Turris back at home. Goal and assist has played very well. He's taken how many face-offs? 21 face-offs. Senators never saying die in this one. 3 times trailed by a goal, and 3 times have come back.
Sedin's out with under a minute to go. There's Chris Tanev, who's had some chances to score in this game early. Daniel Sedin couldn't come up with the puck. And here's David Legwand in front. Edler knocks that one away. Hansen checked. Henrik Sedin up the boards. Another opportunity, and this time he'll pass to Edler. 40 seconds left. Hansen right up the gut to Henrik Sedin. Henrik, backhander, stopped by Anderson. Kept the shoulders up, made the save, and got the whistle.
And made the save with no rebound as Yannick Hansen was heading to the net. Canucks on the rush. Nice pass, Yannick Hansen, but Henrik's got no place to go. Craig Anderson played it very well. As you said, shoulders up, right tight to the crossbar.
Get a line of Bonino, Matthias, and Richardson here. With just over 30 seconds to go in the third. Face-off win Bonino. Hamhuis makes a move down the boards. Behind the net to Richardson. Matthias is in front. Richardson. Other side for Hamhuis. Now he's got to hustle back as Legwand picks up the puck. Neal offside as he lifted the left skate with Legwand trying to move into the Vancouver zone.
Boy, Nick Bonino played that one very well. Forward back and replacing Dan Hamhuis. Stayed up and used his stick, and that forced the offside. You worry about that every time a guy's backing up. Nick Bonino on the right side waves the stick, and that forced the offside. David Legwand had to pull the puck in, and it put Chris Neal offside.
Matthias having words here with Alex Chessel. Lonnie Cameron, a word for them before the face-off outside the Vancouver blue line. Carlson rips the puck in from center, and Miller did well to cut that one off. Final 10 seconds of regulation. And this game will indeed go to overtime. Second time in a row for the Canucks, who got the shootout win in Anaheim the other night. Kevin Bieksa gave them a lead in the third. Mark Stone tied it for Ottawa. And one extra point up for grabs in either overtime or the shootout. Of course, the dry scrape, the new protocol in the NHL, so while they do that, we'll send it back to you, Brad Fay. Ryan Miller getting set for the ice cleanup to be finished.
Mark Stone's taken a little while to do very well, and Lyndon Vey is there. He's played on the power plays and done well.
Vey with a point in this one as well, as they both move up to 9.
And Stone, remember his years at Brandon. His last year in Brandon, he had 123 points in 66 games. He had over 100 points the year before, and it took him a little while. And last year in Binghamton, you could see that he was coming on. He had more than a point a game, and he was ready. It takes some guys a little more, and it looks like Mark Stone now is going to be a prolific scorer in the NHL.
First of a 3-game homestand. Game 2 is Friday, and you can catch it on Sportsnet Pacific. 6:30, our coverage begins. The Canucks and the Arizona Coyotes. Not only do they dry scrape before overtime, but the goalies change ends to make for the long change and try to add a little more potential of the game ending in the hockey portion as opposed to the shootout. Ottawa's loss in overtime was to New Jersey, Jaromir Jagr scoring. And of course you saw the Daniel Sedin goal against Carey Price and the Canadiens. Underway, Edler, Tanev with the Sedins up front. Turris and MacArthur for Ottawa. Phillips and Carlson on the blue line. Here comes Edler to center. Rushes over the Ottawa blue line. Lost the puck. Turris has it. Forced back by the Sedins. Now Chris Phillips for Carlson. And he'll start from behind the goal.
Here's where you have to watch Erik Karlsson now. He's given it, now he's starting to go.
But the pass never got to him, and here comes Henrik Sedin in front for Daniel. Puck comes back to Tanev. Daniel Sedin. Round for Henrik. Phillips got in front of that one. But Henrik winds up with the puck. Pass to Daniel. Nearly a minute into overtime. Daniel Sedin leaves for Henrik Sedin. Here's Chris Tanev. His first career goal was in overtime in Edmonton. Daniel Sedin to Henrik Sedin. Long shift to start overtime. Henrik trying to step around Carlson, who took the puck away. And both teams will want to change now with a minute 10 gone in overtime. Carlson waiting for the change to happen. Plays the puck forward. Ryan was in over the line too soon, and the face-off will come back to center.
I think Paul McLean will be happier than Willie Desjardins. His team has come back 3 times, and Willie's team has been unable to protect that 1-goal lead, and that's one of the things, and you can see just from Willie's expression that he's not too happy with the way this has worked out. You always tell me to manage your losses. Make sure you get at least a point.
Yeah. Especially East-West. Dan Hanhus from behind his own goal. Out there with the Yannick Weber. Pass for Higgins, broken up. Canucks steal the puck back. Higgins moving it and knocked away from him. Ryan gets to the puck ahead of Dan Hanhus. Bobby Ryan cuts in front. Puck slid off his stick. Cowan moves in deep. Hanhus tips the puck free. And will now settle down, starting from deep in his own zone. Long pass ahead for Bonino. Tipped it by his man. He moves in right up the middle. Nice pass. Higgins in on goal. Stopped by the left pad of Anderson as Higgins tried to drag it around him on the backhand. Now a centering pass for Bonino is intercepted by Lazar, and he gets the puck out.
Chris Higgins tried to Peter Forsberg and couldn't drag it back far enough.
Are we calling it the Tarasenko now, or is it still the Peter Forsberg? Here's Kevin Bieksa with a burst of speed. Bieksa tries to center. That's picked off. Hoffman ahead to McCollum. Couldn't take the pass. And Brad Richardson. It's been an overtime of turnovers so far. Stanton flips one in from the left wing. Burrows hustles after the puck, and he comes up with it. Alex Burrows coming off the left wing. Here's Richardson. Couldn't get a shot away. Now he hooks the puck through the crease. It comes to Bieksa. Checked by McCulloch in the corner. Bieksa kicks the puck to Alex Burrows. Richardson leaves for Edler. He risks one wide of the goal. Canucks are going to change here as Phillips goes back for the puck. Under 2 minutes to go in overtime. Sean Mathias is on with Yannick Hansen. Turris back out for Ottawa. He started overtime. He's having trouble with Mathias here. MacArthur over to help out. Turris spins away from Hansen and fires ahead to Clark MacArthur. Leaves for Carlson, just onside. Carlson shoots, blocked by Tanev. Carlson again. Puck goes behind the net. Picked up by Edler. He's got a man ahead of the play. There's the pass. Yannick Hansen, overtime breakaway. Cowan came back to check him. Poke check by Anderson, and Hansen on the rebound couldn't put it home. Daniel Sedin off the bench, holds the puck in, cuts wide. Daniel still with it, spins, goes behind the net. Puck knocked away from him. Hansen gets it on the left wing. Pass to Kevin Bieksa. Now Hansen replaced by Henrik Sedin. Final minute of overtime. Henrik takes the pass, steps around MacArthur. Daniel scores! A beauty to end it. The 12th overtime goal of his career. And the Canucks beat Ottawa 4-3.
Paul McLean's complaining, saying that Kyle Turris was interfered with down at the other end of the ice.
Are you getting tired of calling Daniel Sedin for overtime?
Never. What a shot from the angle he was at of the pass from Henrik.
And all of it, absolutely all of it. And watch Craig Anderson. He dives over, and Daniel doesn't have much room. Anderson's got the leg over, the arm over, and Daniel just inside the post beats Craig Anderson. Beautiful pass. Henrik goes around MacArthur and sets up Daniel, and Daniel just inside the post.
Daniel's 4th of the year, the winner at 4:05 of overtime. It produces another winner on scoring win for Safeway and Nabob Coffee. Etienne Godin of Kimberley won a Bradley Original Electric Smoker. Let's check out the 3 stars. I don't know how early you had to have these
well,
ones
we had to have them in before the overtime started. I will let you know. Kevin Bieksa got a goal, played very well, lots of minutes. Kyle Turris, the best of the Ottawa Senators forwards. And Alex Burrows, who has played very well all season long. I thought had probably his best game of the season, and very effective in this one.
Canucks open the homestand with a win after a confidence-building shootout victory in Anaheim. They played their first of 2 at the Senators, first since the Heritage Classic. Went to overtime, but Daniel Sedin the winner, and the Canucks take it 4-3. Sportsnet Central next. Here's Carly Agro and Jamie Thomas.